So good day to you. Chuck Cameron here for another amazing edition of the My Life program. We hope you've enjoyed these so far. Today, I'm in a very special spot. Apparently it used to be a bank, but I haven't seen any old $20 bills around, so apparently it's changed place. And now we're in the Oxford Historical Museum. We'll know more about that when I say thank you for Drew Holt. Thanks for letting me come in and sit down with you for a few minutes, Drew.
It's a pleasure to have you.
All right. So Drew, what are you up to these days? We're going to start with that, and then we'll drag you back to your childhood. What do you do these days, Drew?
Okay, well currently I'm a board member for the Northeast Oakland Historical Society. Okay. And one of my responsibilities here is to take old pictures and stories of the history of Oxford and put them out there to the public. So I do a lot of social media as far as Facebook. You might see Tuesday trivia and different posts like that. A lot of the history, just a lot of people remember the history and they want to hear more about it. And so that's something I'm working on right now.
I imagine there are a lot of I know that there are a lot of new families who move into Oxford to add to the old folks, and they don't know anything about Oxford. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll ask people about being the gravel capital of the world, and they'll want to know why I'm referring to a brewery downtown, not realizing the brewery was named because we were the gravel capital of the world. So one of my favorite things to do, I work every Thursday at the museum from 1 to 4, and I give tours to a lot of new people that come in. And then also we do a lot of tours for all the elementary schools in May. And so I love teaching the kids about the history of where they come from.
There's a lot of good history here. Well,
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at your history. Let's go back a bit. Tell us about growing up. Where'd you grow up? And tell us a bit about mom and dad.
Okay. I was born the 2nd day of April, 1981, in Crittenton Hospital in Rochester, Michigan.
A hospital formerly known as Crittenton.
Yes, formerly known, that's correct. It's changed name a couple of times, but to me it's still the old Crittenton Hospital. So I lived in Rochester the first 8 or 9 years of my life until we moved out to Oxford here. My father is a minister, has been for 50 plus years.
Excellent.
And so he moved out here to be closer to the church. And Rochester was getting bigger and bustler, and so it was, we wanted to go back to a kind of a small, quaint, quiet town, and Oxford fit that perfectly.
So this was a good place to be. Where did you live? What part of town?
So I grew up in the mean streets of Oxford Woods subdivision. Started in around 84 to 85 is when they built that subdivision. And my parents and I moved there in 89 with my brothers as well. And my parents still live in that exact same house today. And so I was gone for a few years, but I moved back to Oxford and I live in the same neighborhood now.
Excellent. So you have brothers?
I do.
Who are they? What are they like?
Okay, my oldest brother, Jesse, he is a minister at the same church my father retired from, so he's kind of taken the reins there. A great guy, super passionate. And then I have my second brother, Chris, who goes by the name Topher, and he is super artistic. He's out of the box, and if you know him, you know Topher Holt. And then there's me in the middle, and then my youngest brother, Brian, who also great, smart guy. He's a therapist in this area, runs a practice. So those are my brothers that are all still.
So let me think, 4 boys. That must have been a very quiet, relaxed, calm, and academic household.
Yeah. I don't know about the calm. We were a rowdy bunch at times.
Lots going on. Right?
Yes, absolutely. But all good.
So what's it like growing up in a house full of boys? You think well of your brothers from your introductions, but what's it like growing up in a house full of boys?
It's competitive, as you can expect it would be. Everyone's trying to outdo each other and be the best and get dad's attention, kind of that. But it's good. There's also a lot of camaraderie, and you go through a lot of the same things, not just their clothes that are handed down, but you go through a lot of situations they've been in, and so it's good.
You're number 3.
I'm number 3. I'm in the middle.
2 above.
2 above and 1 below, correct.
Okay. What was Dad like, and what was Mom like when you were kids? How did they teach you, influence you, guide you when you were a boy?
My father is a great man. He is. He's absolutely my hero.
You're blessed.
Yes, I'm very blessed. I don't know how the universe works, but somehow I really lucked out, and I'm a very blessed person because of that. My father, he was an adventurist. He did a lot of things for adventure. So as a young boy, as early as 11 and 12 years old, I was doing deep sea wreck diving, 100 feet in the ocean. Excellent. My dad's from Florida. He's a master scuba diver. I didn't even realize that was dangerous. I had no idea. I was just a young kid following my dad, and that kind of propelled me through life to not be afraid of things. Especially if you don't know, don't be afraid of it. Just give it a try. And so he was an adventurer. We as far back as I can remember, he was taking us on adventures, and I think that was a great thing to give me confidence growing up. Whether I'm skiing down mountains with him, or whether we're scuba diving deep ocean, it builds a lot of confidence like that.
Well, it's funny, if you don't know you should be afraid, because people around you aren't afraid, you might not end up being afraid.
That's absolutely right. You know what I mean?
I made that up. It's yours.
Yeah. Well, a lot of fear is just the unknown. Yeah. But if you're following your father, I had so much trust in him because that just continued on through my life as well.
So tell us about Mom. How did you interact with Mom, and what did you learn from Mom as a boy?
Yeah, my mother Ruth is a saint, and those who know my mom will say the same thing.
Husband and 4 boys. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, she was a saint. She grew up with 5 sisters, and then got married and had 4 boys and a husband. So she's a saint. She really is. She's the most compassionate, most loving person. She's going to hug you when she sees you. She's going to say, "I'm praying for you," because she's got a list of 1,000 people she prays for every single day.
Excellent.
I went to bed every single night knowing that I was loved, that I was safe, I was secure. I had no worries, no fret. I was, they were amazing parents. They're absolutely my heroes.
Sounds like since you're local and they're local, they're still very much involved in your life, or you in theirs. Is that right?
Absolutely. There are a lot of, like I said, I have 3 brothers. There's a lot of grandkids, and so they go to a lot of sporting events. But yeah, we live in the same neighborhood. We see them often. It's a really good situation.
Now, you grew up locally, so what schools did you attend, and were there any teachers there that helped you kind of walk the right path or keep from wandering into the swamp?
Okay, so I went to Clear Lake Elementary. That's my alma mater there.
The famous Clear Lake Elementary.
That's correct. And my subdivision was right behind there, so we walked to school every day. I loved it. And I also had Mr. Irish, was a great teacher I had. Super nice guy. And
what was great about Mr. Irish?
He was calm. He was just always, no matter what happened, he always was even keel. Yeah, just balanced. Right. Yeah. So, and then from there, I went to Oxford Middle School. Okay. And at Oxford Middle School, 6th grade, I had a teacher named Miss Johnstone. Okay. We had a substitute teacher come in, and I was being a little goofy, a lot of a class clown.
Imagine that.
And she pulled me aside afterwards. I guess I don't know if the teacher wrote my name down or what happened. And she was just saying she was disappointed because she knew how smart I was, and I wasn't applying myself, and that I could be a really good leader. And so the next time we had a substitute teacher come in, she put my desk up there and wanted me to be a leader in the class.
A leader.
Yes.
I like that.
And at that point forward, I took my academic studies serious and became more of a student, and that was she really helped propel me in that direction.
It's powerful when an adult demonstrates clearly that you're capable of more than you think you're capable of. It sounds like it really turned things around for you, or got you in a good course.
It doesn't take long, you know what I mean? It doesn't take much to see potential in a child. Yeah.
May that be the case with all of us. Do something, child. So what we're going to do, we're going to figure out what happens next when we come back for a little break. We'll get you to high school. We'll get you out of high school, and we'll see what you're doing next. But stay tuned. Drew's, by the way, you got to come to this place. This is such a cool place. Stay tuned when we hear more about Drew. Stay with us. The museum, and you never left the museum, so we're here. Tell us a little bit about high school. I've got a hunch where you might have gone to high school. Tell us about school, and tell us about teachers, and tell us about what you enjoyed doing when you were in high school.
Okay, so yeah, I went to Oxford High School, the one over on Lakeville Road, not the new one here.
The old high school.
Yes, the old one, built in the 80s. They never got their pool, but that's okay. Right. Yeah, I went to high school there. Great time. I loved high school. It was a great time in my life. Lots of friends, lots of sports, lots of activities, lots of involvement, which really just shapes your life, you know. A big influence was Coach Bud Raleigh.
Yes.
As with many people he was influential with, he demanded respect and he earned it. And he turned a lot of boys into men. And,
Did you play for him? Was
absolutely, I played for him. Scared to death of him at first.
Of course.
But like most people, they've been kind of hard on the outside, but they actually are soft on the inside. And he had a big heart for kids. He really did. And he was very influential in a lot of people's lives.
What position did you play?
I played tight end, the greatest position there is, because everyone thinks you're blocking, and then you're out for a catch, and you're down the high. Exactly.
You jump up in the air 8 feet high, grab it with one hand, and pull it down?
Well, you'll see that photo soon.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Absolutely,
All right,
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So he gave you some serious guidance, did he?
As he did for a lot of people. Yeah. Yep. He made us be serious about life, which was a good thing. You know, we took our academics serious, we took our sport serious, our training. Great teams are made in the off season. Yes. That's how that works. Yeah.
So you're saying that all the fun stuff that we see on a Friday night doesn't just happen automatically?
Oh no, lots of work put.
Really?
Lots of time. Football is a lifestyle. It's not just a sport you play. It becomes a lifestyle. The dedication. It's year round. Whether you're lifting, training, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So.
Did you ever think about coaching because of that endeavor?
Yeah, I have. But my kids are young right now, and they're also playing in these sports. So we'll see maybe when they're done if I'll do some coaching there. But I've coached other sports as well with them.
Got it.
So.
All right. So you go through high school. Other than sports, did you have any other extracurricular activities?
I did. I was with a part of Student Council and National Honor Society.
Okay.
The National Honor Society, my junior year, required X amount of community service time.
Excellent.
And I thought, where should I go for community service? And I was driving home and I saw the museum and I said, hey, maybe I'll stop in there.
Look at there.
So I stopped in and they gave me a tour and I loved it. I said, oh man, this is great. This is great. So I volunteered a couple of weekends to get community service. Right. And I always told myself, if I ever end up staying living in Oxford, I'm going to work again at that museum.
You seem to have achieved that.
I did, absolutely.
Time lapse between that statement to yourself and when you started to first work here as an adult?
About 20 years, yeah.
Interesting. So not so long in the scheme of things.
Yeah, right.
So you enjoyed that kind of work? You enjoyed that kind of stuff?
I do.
When you were in high school, what did you want to be when you grew up? Because it's getting close to being grown up at that point. What was your target?
I had no idea.
Yep.
I was good at writing. I like to do research, that kind of thing.
Sure.
I didn't know what to do. I wanted to go to the police academy. That was something I really wanted to do, kind of like a life goal. Right. And so I was advised that, hey, you can go to the police academy, just go get a 4-year business degree first. And I said, I don't want to do that. I said, why would I do that? I said, well, if something happens, you could always fall back on your business degree. Yep. So that's what I did. Went to Central Michigan University and got my degree from there. Yep.
Why Central, and what degree, and what'd you learn?
Okay, so I went to Central Michigan University. The only reason I went there is because some of the guys I were going to high school with needed a fourth roommate. And they said, hey, we're going to Central. You want to? So I did. Andy Rabb, Dave Inman, Jeff Much, and I was the fourth one to go there. So I went to Central Michigan with them. I studied basically it's like a business journalism degree. Okay. It was a journalism degree with minors in marketing and advertising. Wasn't quite sure, but I was good at it, and that made sense to me. So.
Now, do you use what you learned in your life today?
100%. With all the articles I write for the museum, whether it's for the Oxford Leader or whether it's social media, I still use APA format and all the different things you learn as a journalist and build a story. And so I still use that today. It's very helpful.
So, question for you. Journalism. I hear people bemoaning the fact that journalism is dead now that it's been replaced by two teenagers, two thumbs and a phone.
Right.
If you were talking to a young person today, which I suspect you have opportunity to do from time to time, would you encourage them to consider journalism as a path or not?
Yeah, I still think it's I still think it's a very important thing. I do, you know what I mean? Exactly what we're doing here. Yep. This is journalism. We're investigating the past so people in the future continue to see progress. I think it's very important. A lot of journalism nowadays, yes, has turned to social media. It's also become very political and very slanted. Yep. Being objective is difficult for a lot of people nowadays, but I still think it's something worth doing for sure. Yep.
Are there places where an objective journalist can prosper?
I think so, especially in history.
Yep.
You know what I mean? People are always looking for accurate history, and you don't get to judge what part of it you lay it out there. I do genealogy for people as a hobby, and I give them the good, bad, and the ugly, and I let them know ahead of time, hey, there's skeletons in every closet. I'm just giving it to you. You make your own assumptions and your judgments. You know?
Facts is facts. Huh?
That's right. It doesn't care about our feelings, right?
That's exactly right. All right. So you're in school. You got a journalism degree. You've got a lot of academic credits. What'd you do after college?
Well, my wife got a job down in Ann Arbor at St. Joseph Hospital.
Oh, you found one of those wife persons.
I did.
When did that happen?
My senior year. I saw her walking on campus, and I was
Lucky
like,
you.
that's the one. I told my buddy, he thought I was crazy, and then I had to go meet her. And
Oh, you may have been crazy, but
Yeah.
it sounds like it's a good crazy.
oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, so she got a job at St. Joe's Hospital in Ann Arbor, and so I moved down there as well. Went to the police academy, became a law enforcement officer.
Excellent.
Worked for a small town called Pittsfield Township for a while.
I know it.
Do you? Okay. And then I moved, left there and went to Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, where I worked my career there.
Excellent. What do you do in the sheriff's department? And did you 20 and out kind of thing?
So my job, I was a road patrol, secondary road patrol,
right.
sheriff's deputy. I also worked on the, it was called the Community Action Team. It was a conglomeration of violent task force, it was violent narcotics and fugitive apprehension, all kind of put together, and we basically did search warrants and cleaning things up like that.
Got it.
So yeah, so I worked my career there. I was able to stay, but I actually left a little bit early. So I was able to leave, get out early, and that's what I did. Yeah.
Got it.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, it's different nowadays. When I was at the sheriff's department, they were just introducing, body cameras and things like that, which is good. It's definitely good for accountability. But it's just a different attitude towards law enforcement nowadays. Things have really changed, but it's still, I think it's a very honorable job, as many things, a custodian, it's a very honorable job, and it needs to be done. And I have high respect for those who continue.
Any job worth doing is worth doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody in the force who helped guide you? Any of your leaders in the...
Yeah, I had a field training officer. Yeah, his name was Sergeant Dave Thomas, and he was the most even-keeled.
Did he make Wendy's hamburgers?
No, he did.
Different Dave Thomas.
Different Dave
Okay,
Thomas.
just checking.
Yeah. I rode with him for a while at the very beginning of my career, and he taught me a lot, not just about law enforcement, but about life. Kind of thing like, how would you want your mother to be treated by the police when she's pulled over? This is your mom I'm going up to. Excellent. Oh my gosh, with respect, with honor, with decency, you know what I mean? And so I've always looked at everybody the same way when I treat them. How would I want my brother to be treated by the police when they show up,
Sounds like that might have been an echo of the kind of training you got at home.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was very close to home.
I bet so.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got you in school, out of school, in law enforcement. When we come back, we're going to figure out how you ended up in downtown Oxford at a museum that used to be a bank. You remember any of those facts with our next section?
Absolutely.
Okay, you remember. You won't forget.
I won't forget.
All right.
Yeah.
So he won't forget. You don't forget. Stay tuned. More to come. So you didn't leave. I'm glad you stayed.
I'm still here.
And I'm glad you stayed too. All right. Drew's got some life still ahead of you. So you got out of law enforcement. How'd you end up in Oxford? Seems like you were in Oxford, and then you went south a ways. How'd you get back?
Well, what happened was after I left the sheriff's department, my wife and I decided that we were going to take an adventure. And so I sold my house in South Lyon, Michigan, and we bought a 40-foot fifth wheel and a diesel truck.
Nice.
And we traveled the country for almost 3 years visiting 154 national parks, sites, and monuments. Yep. We took our kids with us. They were young, elementary, kindergarten kind of thing, and homeschooled them ourselves, which is easy at that level, right? But we really raised them in the national parks. So
do you have a book?
Oh, yes.
Have you written a book?
Oh, have I written a book?
Yes.
No.
As journalism guy, we got to have a book out of you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we had a Twitter account that we had everything on. You know what I mean? So all the photos,
cool.
and my wife journaled everything we did. So yeah, someday we bought a postcard everywhere we went. So we've got 150 some postcards. Yeah. So but our kids, they have what's called a Junior Ranger program at these national parks and monuments and sites. And the kids go in there and they have a booklet, and you go around the park and you answer the questions, you get back in, and they swear you in as a deputy junior ranger,
nice
and you get a
touch.
little badge. And so they have all the badges. There's 426 parks, and we've only been to 154.
Is that all?
Yeah, so we got a lot more to do.
Get out of here, leave early, and go some more parks.
That's right. But
Is that a goal? You get some more?
yes, absolutely. When the kids go off to college, we're going to do a little more traveling and get some more of those in there.
You still have the big fifth wheel?
We don't.
Yeah.
We sold our house. We bought a fifth wheel, and when we were decided to come off the road, we sold the fifth wheel. And then, of course, we had to have a house. And I always said, if I have a chance to move back to Oxford, raise my kids there, go to the same schools I went to, that's what I want to do.
Why would
and
you
so
not?
we moved back to Oxford, and here we are. I've got 2 kids in Oxford Middle School and Oxford High School, and my wife works here, and so I work here as well.
If there isn't a member of the Chamber of Commerce, Amy, you should be listening, who is recording this and getting you to be the Oxford promotion guy.
Sure.
There should be.
Okay.
That story like that. All right, good.
Yeah.
So you were on the road. What's it like being a dad and a husband on the road with kids? That must be 1,000 adventures. It's
all adventure.
Give us a couple.
Yeah, it's all adventure. Just taking the kids and exploring the national parks, whether you're in the historic sites and monuments or whether you're in the actual real parks, as they call them, it's all adventure. We've been whitewater rafting. We always make it a point. We traveled everywhere. I know it's a little dangerous here, but we always made it a point to ask locals where good cliff jumping was. And of course, I would go first and swim around and check. Then I'd be the first one to go, and then my kids would come out and they were jumping off the cliff. Yeah. So we have a lot of video and a lot of pictures of a lot of the adventures we did there. But everything from whitewater rafting to mountain climbing up Mount Rainier, those kind of things. It's just a lot of, it instills a lot of confidence in kids to do things like that.
Seems like I've heard that theme earlier in this
that's right.
exactly interview from
That's
Deb.
right. If you don't know it's scary, you're not scared.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Your kids will be blessings to their peers throughout life too, because they'll be encouraging other kids and other adults to try things that they know aren't bad. They just don't know how to do. So that's good. Good for
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Tell us about your kids.
My kids, I am a blessed man.
Yes, you are.
I have 2 amazing kids, 2 healthy, amazing kids.
Okay.
My oldest son, Austin, who's 16, he's very responsible, very smart, very compassionate. And then my daughter, McKenna, who's 13, and she's an 8th grader at the middle school, and she is a bunch. She's great as well. And
A lot of life there.
A lot of life there.
Good.
Yeah, I'd say she takes after her mom, but I don't think that's what it is. She takes after her dad a little.
Okay, we'll check the records.
Yeah, exactly.
Get back to you then.
Yeah.
That's good.
But they're great kids, super smart. I don't worry about. I know they're going to succeed. Yeah. They're going to be great. Mm-hmm.
What do they teach you about being a man?
Wow, I think your kids teach you a lot about yourself. You know what I mean? When I get frustrated at things, like, it's the same thing I do. You know what I mean? So you learn about a lot about that. But as far as being a man, it's a role you have to play, and it's something you have to be responsible. I don't always feel like I'm the best dad, but I'm just going to keep showing up. That's what my dad did. I'm going to keep showing up at every concert, every football, and that's what I do. I'm there. So even when they're teenagers and dads aren't cool and that kind of thing, eventually they're going to look back at that and say, "Oh, my dad was at everything." You know what I mean? And I had friends that didn't have that same story. So I'm glad that we can do that.
I suspect a lot of kids have friends who don't have that same story.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Good.
Yeah.
Are your kids social? Do they hang around with lots of other kids?
Oh yeah, and they're involved in a lot of sports too. My daughter plays travel softball, so those who know, that's a lifestyle, right?
You're on the road all the time.
Right, of course. It's just not something new, right?
Nope.
But travel softball, she runs track, she does soccer. She's got a lot of sports. My son as well. Yeah. And then we do all of our winter sports, skiing and that kind of thing as well. So we stay busy, a lot of groups, birthday parties, that kind of thing. So yeah.
I feel sad for you because you're missing a lot of really good TV. Oh wait,
No.
You're doing life instead of TV.
We canceled our cable prescription in 2014, and we never gone back.
And you've lived without it.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I know, but think of how many books you can read if you're not watching TV all the time. And I'm never interested in what's on TV.
No.
If I'm ever interested in something, it's either A, a football game, which that's what I watch, or B, some sort of historic documentary. That's all I read. That's my thing. You know what I mean? I don't have any interest in modern day dramas about stories that never happened, about characters who never existed. I like the real thing, you know?
Well, you like that reality stuff. I like that
I do. I think there's two types of people. Well, there's more, but there's two types of people. Those who look into the future and get excited. Oh, like, Star Wars, Star Trek does nothing for me. Okay. Other people look in the past and pictures and say, wow, that, I don't know what it is, but that does something to me. Yep. And so that's where I spend all my time.
Our roots.
Yeah, I literally spend every day at least an hour, sometimes a little more, reading the Oxford Leader from the 1800s and early 1900s. I know it's nerdy, but that's what I'm into.
Well, that's where we came from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
If you were to give counsel, certainly you do, to young people about things like history, and you do, and you go into schools and stuff like this, what do you tell kids about history? Because it has to be true that most of them give no two hoots about history. They're more interested in postings on the social media. How do you describe history to kids in a way that might make at least a few of them sit up and take notice?
The way I like to do it is I like to give them something they're already familiar with and then explain why it's called that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Give me an example.
Okay, so an example of that is, I had a student ask me if there were natives here before the settlers came. And I explained, well, the Algonquin language shared by the Algonquin, the Chippewa, the Potawatomi, as well as the Iroquois, they use the Algonquin language. The word for large was michi, or great, and gama was lake or body of water. Michigama.
Michigama. How would that connect to us today? Oh, wait.
So in 1837, when we got statehood, we did a throwback to the name Michigan, the Great Lakes state, and their eyes, that's why we're called Michigan?
Boom.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to start with things that are relative to them that they will understand. If I just give off stats and statistics about people they've never heard of, doesn't do anything. You got to build a story, get them in time. They love movies, give them a story.
Got it. So what's the story of this place? We've got about 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. Tell me everything we need to know about this operation.
About this bank? Yep. This is the old Hagerman block that was actually torn down. And then what they built was in 1922, the Oxford Savings Bank bought it. Originally started in 1884 over at the Tunstead building, the second floor. They bought this building, knocked it down so they could put a vault in the basement and a safe upstairs. So the old Oxford Savings Bank in 1922 put Indiana limestone on the outside to make it a fortress looking.
Sure.
And that's where we are with it today. And then the bank moved in 1966 down to its current location, Oxford Bank.
Right.
We started a historical society and have been in here ever since.
Since 66?
Well, since 76. It took 10 years to get things to where we needed to get them. And then, and so now the building belongs to the village, and we have the privilege of being in here.
So then, circle back. What do people need to know about this operation today? When's it open, and what do they need to know that they don't know?
Okay, so
you can tell them directly.
Yeah, we are open Thursdays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Now, a lot of people say, hey, that's not a whole lot of time to come. It's one business day and it's one weekend. But based on our volunteers, that's what we have right now. So we also do private viewings or private tours. If you want to call the museum or contact us, we'll always do group tours. Yep. We had a funeral for a very prominent family that came in from California, and we opened this place up, and there was 35 of them with all the same last name going through and seeing their grandmother's dresses and seeing. Cool. We did a really cool thing for them. So we always do group tours. We also do speaking events. I'll be speaking at the Lake Orion Historical Society in February, and I speak at different senior homes. And but again, contact us or come by Thursdays and Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m.
You heard it here first. Well, or second or third anyway.
Yeah.
Drew gives you a formal invitation, as do I, although I had no standing here, to come down and see the museum, meet Drew and the rest of the team, and find out more about your history, which is our history.
It is.
So Drew, thank you for spending the time and talking to us about your life.
It's my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Until next time, for Drew, this is Chuck saying, we hope you have an excellent day.